Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Happy Wednesday. Okay, so let me tell you how I decided to make this video today about Eugenia Cooney. So I put up on my Instagram a couple days ago, I said something about, let me know what you want my unpopular opinion about, and then I will make a video doing all my unpopular opinions. And so yesterday, that was my plan, and then I ended up getting into talking about Manny MUA and Laura Lee and how they will never address anything that has to do with James Charles because he's one of their closest friends in the industry, apparently. And then it kind of went into some other things, but when I got done with that video yesterday, I was going through all of because by that point, like later yesterday evening, the Instagram post or Instagram story had timed out. So I could see all the responses. I mean, I literally got hundreds of responses on it. I'm so thankful to you guys, of people wanting to know my unpopular opinions. Okay, while there were people asking me about my opinion about pineapple and pizza, which I have a very strong opinion about that, or people asking me what my opinions are about the Real Housewives of New York being put on pause, which I have very strong opinions about that as well. The majority of the things that people asked me to talk about were really, really kind of dark and serious. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to do like a funny haha video over here. Like I've been trying to do these palate cleanses over here because I feel like people all the time are like, you have 7 channels. I have 7 channels because they're palate cleanses for me. You know, I just did my 1,000 Pound Sisters reaction from last night. To get on here every single day and talk about just really dark, sad topics just kind of brings me down. You know, when I started doing this almost 8.5, 9 years ago, you know, the topics that we covered doing drama commentary were lighthearted. I mean, I've shared this so many times. They were like people releasing a palette at the same time. I can remember Manny and Jeffrey releasing a palette at the same time, and and it was, you know, like, why did they do this? It was jealousy and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Or, and it was like, you know, people like ate it up. I mean, people were more interested in the beauty industry back then too, I think. But it was stuff like that. It wasn't super serious, dark stuff, you know, and in all honesty, even Dramageddon 1, when Dramageddon 1 started, which was, you know, Manny, Laura, Gabriel Zamora, and Nikita Dragon flipping off the camera and saying, bitch is bitter without us, implying Jeffree Star, that was what set the whole, you know, Dramageddon 1 thing off. Even that kind of started on a funny note. And then it went into, you know, people looking into all of their past and bringing up that kind of stuff. And then it kind of started getting dark. But really, what I remember, my perspective, is that the darkness of people covering like the beauty influencer community and stuff really started with James Charles and the allegations that came out about James Charles. And that was where you started seeing, you know, people doing these like deep dive investigations, which I love a deep dive. I think I do not do those. I do not do highly researched deep dives. I've never claimed to be a journalist. I'm a shit-talking drama channel all day long. That's who I am. I'm a gossip tea channel. Call me whatever you want to call. I don't take myself that seriously. I might have a serious opinion about something, but this is just me sitting down on camera talking to you guys about what I think about things. And that was kind of, you know, before that had come out, this whole like new era of receipt-driven drama videos. And if you were going to make a drama commentary video, and then it was like the split between drama channels, gossip tea channels, commentary, I don't even really tell you, I don't really know what the difference is today, you know? Maybe in just how it's covered a little bit. But then all of a sudden, it was like these receipt-driven, you know, videos. And if you didn't have 50 receipts in your video to prove what you were saying or to back it up, then your opinion or your point of view didn't really mean anything. And then it was these deep dives that people started doing. And I can remember, you know, there was like a deep dive on James Charles that came out. It was like a 4-part series. There was a deep dive on Jeffree Star that came out that was like 4 parts. There's deep dives on all these people. The Shane Dawson deep dives, you know. I mean, there's been deep dives on all of these people. And so then that kind of switched things because then all the information was out there. But then there were still just, you know, some of us out there that were just covering everything that was going on from a day-to-day basis. But I think it really, at the James Charles and all the allegations that came after that, I think it really completely changed what people, and I don't know if it maybe at the time was like societally how people were changing things. It was also the onset of TikTok. And so people on TikTok were either watching TikToks that were extremely funny or extremely problematic. And that was what was pushing the views. And so those really dark you know, problematic TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube videos were the ones that were getting the most views. And people really wanted to talk about really, really serious topics. And I've said for a very long time on my channel, I feel like I've said this in like the last 3 videos, that was just not what I started when I did this channel. I enjoy having the deeper conversations. I think it's important to have the deeper conversations. But it's not like I want to flip a fan sometimes and just be silly on camera. You know, it's like I did this whole video yesterday. And this is no shade to the person that left the comment, but I did this whole video yesterday, and I really had started it off to do this Unpopular Opinions video, and I was just at the beginning of it going to talk about my take on Manny and Laura. The whole video ended up becoming about Manny and Laura, and I titled it about that. But somebody commented on the video, and they said, if you want to see what the title of the video is about, it really starts at 17 minutes and something, right? And I was like, you know, the timestamp thing is what it is, right? But anyway, I was like, if somebody wants to just go, but I like the storytelling. That's what I like to do. I talked about recently how I like finding these weird stories on Facebook, and those are the things I want to talk about over here, or talk about, you know, the disintegration. I talked about this yesterday of, you know, what happened to Spinderella and Salt and Pepper. You know, like those are the things that I love to talk about, or I get excited about, or, you know, today that we were at Trader Joe's and my cousin was going to get a fern, and I was like, this is how you pick out the name for a fern and all this kind of stuff. Those are the things I like to talk about. I also love having an opinion about anything pop culture, whether that has to do with the Real Housewives of any franchise, whether that has to do with TV shows that I'm watching, which is why I have an entire channel now dedicated to TV shows, or opinions that are going on in pop culture, you know, movie stars dating or getting divorced, or influencers, and beauty influencers was where I landed, and that's what I've talked about, and it's kind of gone from there, you know? And so it's interesting now that when I put up a video, or I put up a post of like, ask me, you know, what you want to know my opinions on, you know, like 4 years ago, it would have been like, what's your favorite kind of toothpaste? And today it's like, do you think that Eugenia Cooney is going to die? And I'm like, okay, this is, and it's not just one, but it's numerous people that are asking me to cover that. Like, what are my thoughts on the longevity of Eugenia Cooney? Well, that's honestly really dark and really scary. And I think really speculative. I mean, it's almost, to me, it's beyond is what it is, right? And I had seen this stuff. So, okay, so yesterday, or the other day, I put this thing up there, and I'm reading through them last night, all the posts I got, and it was like kind of segmented into different things. People asked me to talk about this. There were actually a lot of people that wanted me to talk about Toddy Westbrook. There was like 3 or 4 people that asked me specifically the very similar thing about cancel culture, which I thought that would make a good video. There was like 5 or 6 different topics that people wanted me to talk about, and I thought, you know, instead of including this just into one video, an Unpopular Opinions video, why don't I just make specific videos out about each of these things that people, even if it was just 2 or 3 people that asked me about something, make it a specific video. So over the next week, that's kind of what I'm planning to do, unless something pops up. But a lot of people had asked me to talk about Eugenia Cooney and what I think about her right now. And they also, a lot of people in the last week or 2 have sent me a lot of clips of Eugenia Cooney, a lot of TikToks, and stuff like that. And I had seen that Jeffree Star had gone off about Eugenia Cooney. So that was kind of in my head. I wrote it down. I keep a list of videos that I want to make over here. And Eugenia Cooney was, I just had Eugenia Cooney written down on my list. And I was going to make a video just talking about my current thoughts about Eugenia Cooney. Eugenia Cooney is somebody that I have made a couple videos about in the past. I feel like on YouTube, she's a very polarizing individual. YouTube, TikTok, wherever. I think she's a very polarizing individual. I think that people either love her and defend her to no expense, or I wouldn't necessarily say they hate her, but I would say, I don't even know with Eugenia Cooney if the situation is hate watching. I think it's like train wreck watching almost to some degree, if that makes sense. Like it's, I don't know. It's just like they can't not watch. Like they can't look away, if that makes sense. And so they don't really know what to do with it. But I think there's a lot of people that are really, really concerned with Eugenia Cooney and her state of affairs. So for those of you that do not know, Eugenia Cooney is a 30-year-old woman that lives at home with her mother and I believe her brother. And she has come out previously and talked about having an eating disorder, and then I believe she relapsed after that. There have been influencers in the past that have tried to step in and get her some help, and then she has completely distanced themselves from her. There have been welfare checks that have been done on her. She's even talked about how police officers have come out to her house. You know, so it's people constantly clocking things with what's she eating, what's she doing, all this kind of stuff. Before I get into this, because this will come into it, I I very rarely, it's like the last 2 times I have watched some videos, but I very rarely go in and watch any drama commentary videos before I do a video about this. But I noticed that Dustin Daly had done a video just yesterday, and the video is called, hold on, let me turn my volume down before I just watched it. Jeffree Star had a full-blown meltdown on Eugenia Cooney's fans. And what it's really about is all these people being concerned about Eugenia Cooney, and Jeffree Star basically coming out in this live stream. She was talking about, she's in a TikTok live with Jeffree Star and these 2 other people. I don't know who they are. I think that Bobby Blowout guy or whatever. And Paul, whatever his name is, Paul Dow. I don't know what his name is. But anyway, and she's talking about how, like, they were trying to get, like, a commissioner to come out and, like, or a people were petitioning basically for her to be deplatformed off of TikTok, is what I understand it to be. People have sent me this as well. And she's talking about it, and Jeffree Star basically is saying that she's a grown woman and that she'll get help for herself when she wants to, and that people need to leave her alone, okay? And that it's her business, nobody else's business. Then Dustin shows later that he comes out in this TikTok live and it's just himself, basically saying that people do not know what lengths that Jeffree Star has gone to behind the scenes, that he has tried to get her help, the phone calls that he's made, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. We don't know if that's true or not, and really, I don't really care about Jeffree Star's involvement, in all honesty. I think it's interesting in a live stream with her present that he says to her, you know, like, people need to just leave you alone, blah, 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 whatever. When it's really her genuine fans that are really helping Eugenia Cooney. Now, why that statement is interesting to me, and I will address this, and Dustin's video was done fantastically. Go check out Dustin's video. But the reason why the comment is interesting to me is that Jeffree Star is saying that, you know, all the comments that he's talking about are people that have been longtime fans of Eugenia Cooney. Fans that tip her, fans that send her gifts, fans that watch her videos, fans that buy her products that she puts out on her TikToks and things like that. They're people that are paying her bills. So to the audience that is paying her bills, because whenever I go through Eugenia Cooney's, like, TikToks and I look at comments or whatever, there's always a lot of comments. I mean, she makes it sound like everybody's like, Eugenia Cooney, I mean, there's a lot of nasty comments. That's completely fair, where people are, you know, putting skull emojis and I mean, if I'm going to talk about Eugenia Cooney, I'm not going to talk around it. I'm just going to say that, okay? If I'm going to talk about something so serious as this, I'm not going to talk around it, all right? So there's a lot of people in there that are like, eat a hamburger, eat a cheeseburger, because of course that's the answer to somebody that has an eating disorder, right? Like, that to me is such an ignorant statement that you would even say that to somebody. That's obviously like a hate comment. I perceive that as a hate comment. If you know that somebody has an eating disorder and you care at all or are worried at all, to tell them to just go eat a cheeseburger is an ignorant statement. I mean, I've known so many people that have had severe eating disorders. I've known people that are like, had to go into treatment programs for eating disorders and things like that. That's an ignorant comment. It's not a supportive comment. But in her TikToks as well, there's a lot of people in the comment sections that are saying things like, I love you, Eugenia, like, I'm really worried about you, and, you know, like, please take care of yourself. Then there are the comments are like, oh, Eugenia, you look beautiful, you look so pretty. And I think that's part of what people are concerned about. That is, if you're trying to lift her up because you feel bad about the negative comments that she's getting, what she perceives as negative comments, where people are just saying to her, hey, we're worried about you, we care about you. You know, whenever I'm asked about it, people are like, what do you think? I'm like, I think she looks emaciated. I think she looks like, I would be concerned if she was one of my friends or my family members. Like, I would step in and say something. I don't know Eugenia Cooney like that. I've never interacted with her. I don't know her like that. Do I understand why her long-term fans, when I've seen pictures of her when she started to how she looks now, how they're concerned? 100%. You know, Jeffree Star says it's her personal business. Well, she shares her personal business online. You know, she does live streams. She shares about that. When you do that, you open yourself up to stuff. All of us do. We know that, right? And so when she's talking about people in a live stream trying to get her deplatformed, or she's talking about going to treatment, or she's talking about them doing, you know, like, they're calling to do welfare checks on her. She's bringing it online. She's talking about it. People then are going to have an opinion about it, whether that's right or wrong, or you like it or not. People are going to have an opinion about it. And I think for quite some time, I think people have really wondered, like, what is going to happen to Eugenia Cooney? And I'll be honest with you, you know, like, there's this whole segment of the internet that to me is like this whole, like, this eating disorder, weight situation that, I don't know, maybe to some degree it hits a little too close to home for me, that I don't love to watch that stuff, but like Amberlynn Reid is on the same level to me, and I'll be honest with you, like when I watch Amberlynn Reid's videos, and I don't watch them anymore because one thing I do know is that Amberlynn Reid plays to her audience of haters. She does that specifically to make money, and I know that, okay? It was interesting because in Dustin's video, he insinuated, he said, I think he said it actually, that he believes at this point that Eugenia does a lot of this stuff to like make money. Like a lot of it is for money, and I hadn't really thought about that with Eugenia in the past. I don't watch her that closely, to be honest with you. I know he knows a lot more about her than I do, and a lot of other people do. And a lot of people are closer, and maybe if people that are closer to her know more about her than I do. I don't know. All I know is what I see online. So I'm not a whole lot different than you guys that have watched her. I'm sure anybody that's watching this video has probably watched a lot more Eugenia Cooney than me, but I was asked, so I'm going to tell you. But with Amberlynn Reid, like Amberlynn Reid is now at the weight where Tammy Slayton on 1,000 Pound Sisters was when they were worried that she wouldn't make it 3 to 4 more months. So when people are watching Amberlynn Reid's videos and they're concerned about that, to me what it is I'm concerned about that person's health. That person is willing to monetize their well-being and their health and their survival over just making money. That's concerning to me, okay? Then when you have Eugenia Cooney and, you know, Jeffree Star is saying it's nobody's business and people should just leave her alone. Well, here's the deal, Jeffree, okay? You were on TikTok Live with her when you thought TikTok was going to be shut down. Remember the night that you and that Bobby Blowout Paul guy said that you were going to tell all the secrets on everybody that you knew on TikTok, even your audience? But you never did that because you're a liar, Jeffree Star. We've known that for a while. And Eugenia Cooney's like losing her mind, and she said in another TikTok that she didn't know what she was going to do because all of her friends are online, and if TikTok went down, where would her friends go and stuff like that. Here's the problem, okay? Because people always say, this is the go-to, right? If you don't like this person, just don't watch them. I 100% agree with you. I think that would make the world a much easier place. If you don't like somebody and you want to don't hate watch them. I don't understand hate watching. Hate watching's never made sense to me. I do not hate watch anybody. I will watch somebody's video to cover it for a video, but I don't hate watch anybody. I don't get it. I don't get enjoyment out of watching somebody that I so dislike. I don't even know that I really dislike anybody that much. It's weird to me. The weird obsession of hating somebody so much that you want to pick apart their life like that makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense to me, okay? So, but if Eugenia Cooney, all right, has all these people that are concerned about her and her well-being, because the majority of her audience is probably, if you looked at it, 80% of people that are concerned about her, okay? Well, let's be fair. Let's say 60% of people that are concerned with her, 20% that are over there just leaving shitty comments, probably hate watching. Maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe it's more like 40% of people that are so concerned and love her to death. Maybe it's more like 30%, 40% that are hate and troll watching her, and 20% that are indifferent that don't really know or don't really care, okay? Maybe that's more of a fair assessment. But if Jeffree Star is talking to people and saying, if you don't like her, then just stop watching her, okay? If they were really going to listen to Jeffree Star, that would take away 40% of her audience. Then he says, if you're, like, he's talking to the fans that are concerned about her, if he's talking to those fans and he's saying, she doesn't need to answer to you, which she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to share anything online. It's her business. She doesn't have to share any of it. If those 40% of people that really do care and love Eugenia, if they step away tomorrow, now she's lost 80% of her audience, okay? Now, you're talking about a 30-year-old grown woman, all right? Now, I know 30-year-old women that have served several terms in the military. I know 30-year-old women that have been on their 4th marriage. I know 30-year-old women that have multiple children, have had multiple careers, have had multiple jobs, okay? I know 30-year-old men and women that have lived lifetimes while she has been in her bedroom living at home. And I understand that Eugenia Cooney has a lot of issues, okay? But as her friend or somebody close to her, all right, to criticize the people that are concerned about her and wanting to help her and say, we're worried about you, okay? Instead of, I would want to get my friend the help she needed, and now he comes out and says, well, I am trying to get her that. Well, I don't know. Are you the next person she's going to push away? Because the last person that tried to help her, I believe, was Jacqueline Glenn. She pushed her away. She was out of her life. But Eugenia Cooney uses so much Jeffree Star makeup and stuff like that, she ain't never going to get rid of him. And Eugenia Cooney is probably one of Jeffree Star's biggest marketers, so he ain't never going to get rid of her either, okay? But to say that, and Dustin said this in his video, he's absolutely 100% right. It's enabling. It's enabling. And so, for me, it's concerning that you want to say, well, if Eugenia is going to exist online, nobody can have anything to say about it. If you do, just don't watch her. Okay, well, there she's lost her audience. So this person that you care so much about, who literally lives for her audience, she does nothing but film in her bedroom all day long, okay? She's on live streams all day long. If Jeffree Star tomorrow were on TikTok to 20 people, do you think that he would continue on TikTok? He wouldn't, okay? So she makes her income from being online, and she has made all her friends on being online. She said that. So all of a sudden, somebody's saying, if you don't like it, go away, which, hey, I agree with that, okay? I agree with that. If you don't like somebody, or you're hate watching them, or you're so concerned with them, like when I am so concerned about somebody, I don't engage in it anymore. I just don't, because I'm not going to sit there and be part of somebody making money off of hurting themselves. I'm not willing to do that, all right? So I'm one person that stepped away. But what if those 40% of people stepped away? What if the 40% of the haters stepped away? Who would Eugenia Cooney have? How would she make any money anymore? So you're helping her out by saying that, but are you really? You know, I don't know. If she were my friend, I'd say, babe, maybe you need to take some time offline, because obviously being online means too much to you. But Jeffree Star can't see that because he's too far out from it, because he lives his entire life online, you know? I don't know. I'm just a dude with a camera that makes a couple videos a day, and when I'm done, I sit down and I watch Love After Lockup. I read my cozy mysteries. You know, I'm doing my Alex Cross James Patterson read along right now. I listen to my audiobooks. I take a walk. You know, I just hang out with my husband. That's what my day looks like. Okay, so I don't know about spending 12 hours a day on TikTok. I wouldn't want it. If it makes them happy, more power to them. But Jeffree Star is not really the story of my video. What the story of my video is about is that I didn't even do my lip treatments. People were sending me this TikTok live of Eugenia Cooney, where this is where I feel like you can't even say anything online about Eugenia Cooney. It's like if you say anything about Amberlynn Reid, people are like, you're a hater. Well, it's concerning to me that Amberlynn Reid has done every diet in the book and done all this and lied about it. And years ago, I asked Amber, I said, I would ask her, do you care if I make this video? And she'd say, I don't care what videos you make. People hate me anyway. So she's fully aware of it. Don't tell me that Eugenia Cooney is not fully aware that she's got people concerned about her or whatever, and she continues to talk about it online. So you're opening yourself up to it. But I still am concerned about her. So people sent me this TikTok live of her, and it was allegedly her having, like, people were saying that she had a stroke or something on this live stream. I watched the whole thing through twice, okay? I've never witnessed anybody having a stroke. I am not a medical professional. I'm not a nurse, and I'm not a doctor. I don't know what happened to her on camera. It did not look like anything major medical to me. I'm just telling you what I saw. I didn't see that. I saw a worn out, exhausted 30-year-old lady, okay, is what I saw. She looked worn out. Probably because she had been on a TikTok live for so many hours that she probably was exhausted. I don't know. I don't know about the condition of it. I'm not going to get on here and say, oh, I think it was this or I think it was that. In fact, somebody sent me this TikTok or video or something of a medical professional diagnosing Eugenia Cooney with a stroke from having watched this live stream, okay? As somebody that has had multiple medical issues, just passed a kidney stone where I had to go to the emergency room twice. I see my urologist tomorrow. I've had to go to my primary care physician 2 or 3 times at this point that couldn't even diagnose me in person with urine and blood tests going on and everything else, even sitting in an emergency room for 7 hours. That scares me a little bit, that a medical professional is diagnosing Eugenia Cooney as having a stroke on a video. And I think that's where we personally have overstepped lines a little bit, okay? That's just my opinion about it. I watched a little bit of whatever that was, and I was like, and she's like, right here, this is the moment. This is the moment. I don't really know, like, when we have stopped, like, you know, for me, as a person in recovery, I've been sober for over 30 years. I'm very active in a 12-step program. I respect anybody that gets sober by any means necessary. I just want people to stay sober and live full lives today, okay? It would be like me getting in a video and picking apart that person and saying, see, right here, I can see them tweaking. This is where you can tell that they're using. Why would you do that to somebody? Why would you think that that is helpful in any kind of way whatsoever? You know, people were sending that to me and asking me what I think. What do I think about it? I think the fact that people are watching a TikTok live of Eugenia Cooney and they are concerned that she might have had a stroke on camera because the gal looks so emaciated, and people are so concerned about her weight and her health, and people are so concerned about that. I think that is really worrisome, okay? Eugenia Cooney, I know she's done a couple problematic things here and there. I think she supports some problematic people. But by and large, she seems to me, when I do watch her videos, to be a very lost... I mean, it's not like she's 20, okay? I mean, I feel like whenever I hear people talk about her, they talk about her like she's 20 because she dresses up and does all... She's not, okay? She's a 30-year-old woman. I think that she seems to me like a very lost woman that doesn't really have any social life or social interaction outside of her bedroom unless she's going to Disney World with her mother. And she seems to have a lot of people online that are concerned about her. But her only social outlet seems to be being in live streams with other people on TikTok. And that is also her moneymaker. She seems to be kind of unaware of stuff at times. I don't know if that's just who she is. I don't know anything about her. But when I watch anything that people send me about Eugenia Cooney, I don't feel anger. I don't feel like I'm being scammed. I don't feel like this is like... I don't even feel like this is the most worst thing I've ever seen. What I feel in my heart is empathy for a lost human being that I think needs a lot of help. That's what I feel when I think about Eugenia Cooney. It's one of the reasons why I don't watch her regularly, because I just cannot participate in that, and I cannot be part of it. It makes me sad. I think that it's not just about her being on TikTok all the time. I mean, if I had a friend of mine that financially could afford to live on their own, and people have said that her mom has guardianship over her, I don't know about that. Okay, that's worrisome enough if that were the case. I don't know about all that kind of stuff. But if I had a friend of mine that like said that their only friends were online, okay, let's take out the eating disorder and everything like that, okay? Mental health issues and all that kind of stuff. I have a lot of friends of mine. I have a lot of mental health issues myself. Most of my friends have mental health issues. We all don't live with our parents, okay? People with mental health issues can live on their own and be highly successful. I think that's an unfair go-to when people say that. I'm not taking down or taking away from any mental health issues she has or any other issues that she might have. Those are very, very serious things and should be treated very seriously as well, okay? But if I had a friend of mine that was in a situation where she was spending her entire day online, okay, never left her house, the only trip she ever took on was to go out with her mom, never really went anywhere with friends of her own unless her mom was there, and said, all of my friends are online, all right? And also, physically seemed unwell to me. Like, yeah, it wouldn't just be me. I would probably be getting 3 or 4 of my friends and saying, F this welfare check thing, we're going to their house. And we're going to talk to the parent. And then we're going to get involved because she's 30, okay? And she has rights as an adult unless her mom truly is the guardian. Then we're going to do what we need to do. And if she hates us, I'll tell you this right now, okay? And I've shared this before. I got sober when I was 22 and a half years old. One of my very dear friends at the time that had lived with me, she left living with me and she said to me, I cannot stay here anymore because your life is like going down the drains. And she looked at me and she said, I'm either going to tell your dad or like you're going to tell your dad. Well, I ended up getting sober, like going into treatment a week later. I was so pissed at her. I was so mad at her, okay, this friend of mine, for going to my dad or being willing to go to my dad and be like, yeah, Peter's drug and alcohol addiction is way out of control and he's going to die and I'm concerned with him. I was so pissed at her. Years later, in a conversation that we had, she was the only person at the time that was willing to say something about me, that cared enough about me at the time to stand up and say something, okay? And I hadn't talked to her for years, and when I did, I had to humble myself, and I had to say, I am so thankful that you were willing to go to those lengths, you know? I was so thankful that she was willing to do that. Today in my life, I do not take stuff like this lightly, okay? I do not care if somebody's pissed off at me. I don't care if they like me. I don't care if they don't want to be my friend anymore. I don't care if they don't want to battle me in a TikTok live. I don't give a shit. I want my friends that I truly care about to be alive, to continue to enjoy their life. So what do I think about Eugenia Cooney? I don't know what happened in that live stream. I'm not going to diagnose somebody based on something that I don't know. I'm not even a medical professional to diagnose anything like that. I don't think anybody else should be doing. It's very worrisome to me. She makes me very, very sad. And I really worry about this young lady a lot. So anyway, that's what I think about Eugenia Cooney. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.